Hello, I'm Andreas from Hegel, and today we're going to talk about the convenience features inside of our products. Our products look very minimalistic and simple on the front end, but inside there's a lot of things that you can do with our products. So if you know what you want to learn more about, go check out the timestamps below. If not, have a look at the whole video. On our reference integrated amplifiers, like this H400, or also the H600, the top model integrated amplifier, we have implemented touch button functionality. So on the input selector, you can of course select the inputs, but you can also pause and play music when streaming on the network input. You can also press and hold to enter our menu, where you can navigate and enter different submenus by pressing once more. To exit the menu, you can just turn the volume knob once. And then the volume button you can push to mute the amplifier, no matter what input you're using. Really convenient if you're close to the amplifier and you just want to pause or mute. If you have one of our other amplifiers, you enter the menu by using your remote. If you have this RC8 remote, you press the computer or streaming play button on top to enter the menu, and you use the skip buttons on top to navigate the menu. Press once on the play button to select whatever you are selecting. If your product comes with this RC10 or RC11 remote, you need to press the play button in the middle here to do the exact same thing. Press and hold until you enter the menu. Navigate by pressing up and down, single press to enter the menu. All of Hegel's integrated amplifiers are quite powerful, and depending on the speaker you are connecting to it and the power output of the amplifier, it can get really loud. And that's usually not a problem because we have a great power handling in our products. But to protect yourself and your hearing, we've implemented this volume control feature. You enter the menu and you go down to volume, and here you see volume plus and volume minus. And if you go volume minus, you can see the max volume changes from 100 and downwards, one press at a time. So now we still have the same volume here, but it is capped. So if we turn the volume all the way up to 100, you will see it says damped. That means that this value is now not 100 anymore, but 85 or whatever we entered in. The volume scale will always go from 1 to 100. This is a requirement from most of the streaming services, so we need to have the volume scale the same at any given time. But the output of the amplifier is different. So now it is a lower volume when you reach 100. And you can use this to set a comfortable maximum level for your system, which of course will depend on what type of speaker you have connected to it, and your living room, and how loud you want to play. Another nice safety feature is the maximum startup volume function. So let's say we had a party last night and we were playing at volume 100, which is now volume 89, and we turn the product off, and the next morning someone starts streaming and the amplifier turns on automatically, and it will then turn on automatically to the exact same power output, 100, which might be very loud for a Sunday morning. We can adjust this by going into the startup volume. So we can cap the startup volume at, let's say, 66. So now, when I turn it off and turn it on again, it will start up at volume 66. Now, if I were to be below this number when turning the power amplifier off, then it will of course start up at the volume we turn it off on. But it will never go above 66 when starting up. When you get your new Hegel amplifier, it will by default turn off automatically within 15 minutes of no use. And the way it senses if it's being used or not is by sensing if there's a signal going out of the amplifier. Now, if you play at a really low volume, the amplifier might still think that there's no music playing, even though you are playing music. To prevent the amplifier from going into sleep mode, you can then adjust the volume once, or change the input, or skip if you're streaming, and the amplifier will immediately know that someone is using me, so I'm not going into sleep now. But there's also a more permanent fix. You can go into the menu, scroll down to sleep, and you can choose between 15 minutes, 1 hour, or completely off. If you set it to completely off, the amplifier won't go into sleep mode by itself. You need to physically turn it off. All our newer amplifiers can turn on automatically when they get a streaming signal from the Ethernet cable, if it's Spotify or UPnP or whatever. But in some of the amplifiers, you need to activate this feature. To do it, you enter the menu and you go down to Auto In, and the first one you see is going to be LAN Wake. Press the button once, it says enabled, and now you're good to go. You can now choose the amplifier from Spotify or whatever streaming service you are using, and the amplifier will turn on to the right input and you can stream directly to it. Underneath LAN Wake you will find LAN Back. Now what does this mean? Well, by default the amplifier will stay on the same input it was previously played on. Even if you power it on again, it will stay on the same input as previously played on. With the LAN Back feature, you can override this. Let's say I stream a lot of music, but I also have a dedicated turntable. And this dedicated turntable is connected to the XLR input. So as you can see, I've been playing my turntable now, but I want to play radio. So I go into my Hegel app and I start playing radio, and the amp changes to radio. I haven't physically touched any knobs or the remote, it just does this automatically. Now, if I press stop, it then reverts back to the XLR input, which I have my turntable on, and now I can play my turntable again. So this feature allows you to jump back to the last physically selected input, no matter what that input is. Our newer amplifiers come with a range of digital inputs. This one, the H400, has a BNC, a coaxial, and 3 optical inputs, and also a USB input. Now, all of these inputs, except for the USB, can trigger the amplifier to wake. But you need to set this up in the menu as well. So, you go in to the same Auto In menu, you scroll down to Digital Wake, and you can enable the amplifier to be woken by a digital signal. Here we also have a separate submenu for Digital Auto, which means it will auto switch to the input that wakes the amplifier. This can be enabled or disabled depending on the use case. And you also have the Digital Back, which works as network back, meaning it will change to the last analog, perhaps, selected input when it doesn't receive a digital signal anymore. All our integrated amplifiers and most of our products have a really clear and easy to read OLED display in the front. This display can seem a bit bright in darker environments. On our latest products with the latest firmware updates, you can actually dim the display so that it's more in line with the lighting in your room. Go into the display menu and you adjust the brightness from maximum, high, moderate or low and back to maximum again. You can also turn off the display completely by choosing it to always be off. As you can see, the display turns completely black except for this little check mark indicated that it's on a network. Now, of course, if you change the input or you adjust the volume, the display pops back up. To disengage, you can also press the disp button on selected remotes and holding it. And this is also a way you can engage it again. So our amplifiers are quite advanced inside. And even though we only use an Ethernet network connection to get this app running, network issues might still occur. To solve this, you need to hard reboot the amplifier. This resets the network module, and when it's powered back up, you should be good to go. It's that easy. On our newest amplifiers, the H600, the H400 and the H150, you can do this by pressing and holding the power button from an on state. So the amplifier is on, you press and hold the power button, and then it says rebooting in the display, and the whole amplifier will reboot. It will not change any of the user settings or reset these, they will remain the same. On our older amplifiers, we don't have this fancy reboot feature, but you can of course reboot the network section. You just have to do it a bit more manually. You simply take the power plug and pull it, wait for 30 seconds, put it back in, and turn the amplifier on, and the network has been reset. One feature that we've implemented in our amplifiers for ages and ages is the home theater bypass feature, which is ideal if you want to combine a really good stereo system with a Hegel and a home theater surround receiver with pre-outputs. Now, what is key, your surround amplifier, no matter the brand, needs to have a pre-out for the front channels. So you can take this connection and connect it to the Hegel analog input. Now, this Hegel has two analog inputs, and you can choose whichever you want. The way you do it is that you enter the menu, and you go down to the menu section that's called HT, stands for home theater. And here you can choose all the different inputs. Now we chose analog 2, and I want that to be a home theater input, meaning it's a fixed high volume input. And if we change to this input now, you see it says HT fixed. That means that the Hegel amplifier now acts as a power amplifier for the front channels in this home theater receiver. You of course need to do the room calibration and everything once more, because you now have a really powerful amp driving your front channel speakers. The other inputs will of course work exactly as before with normal volume control in the Hegel. You could also use this for other stuff, not necessarily home theater, which is the name of the input. Let's move this away. Whoop. Let's say you have a Blue OS system throughout your house. We don't have Blue OS internally in our Hegel devices, so you might want to add a streamer so that the Hegel can play with your bathroom and your kitchen and what have you. Then you can use the exact same feature with either balanced or unbalanced outputs on the back of this. And you have a separate streamer connected to the Hegel amplifier, and you would control the volume with the streamer app as you normally would. The current Hegel products also has a very capable streamer inside with many different multi-room options, which also work with these ones. So you have full control. If you prefer the app in this one, go for it. If you prefer to do a Google Home thing, go for the internal one here. It's up to you. Having this as an integrated all-in-one unit and also a power amp is really ideal for connecting whatever you like. And it's not just the analog inputs you can set as a fixed input, it's also the digital inputs. So no matter what connection you are using, you can set all of these inputs to a fixed high-level output. Unique to our Hegel products is, of course, the DAC Loop feature, which enables you to connect a new and improved DAC to our reference line amplifiers. There's a video on our channel that goes into detail about this. I will just add one thing. This makes our amplifiers hopefully sound a bit better, and it also gives you a lot more digital inputs. You get all of these digital inputs on your new and improved DAC in addition to all the digital inputs that's in the Hegel you own. And this is a feature that has been in Hegel products since the H300. So the H300, the H360, the H400, the H590 and the H600, and now also the H150 all have this included in it. This function needs to be activated. You go into the menu, go down to DAC Loop and enable the DAC Loop function. DAC Loop only works for the digital inputs. You cannot connect an analog input signal to this one, convert it to digital and then transmit it to the DAC. That's not how it works. It only transmits the digital signals coming into the amplifier. One of the perhaps most user-friendly features of our integrated amplifiers is the TV remote functionality. Hegel doesn't, as of yet, use HDMI, eARC or ARC connections because they are not stable all the time with all different brands. What we have implemented instead is an IR functionality which enables you to control the Hegel amplifier with your TV remote. The brands supported are Samsung, LG, Sony and Philips. But if you have a smart TV remote, you could probably make your TV control the Hegel anyway. We'll get to that in a while. Let's start with how you set up a normal IR remote for one of these brands. You go into the menu and switch down to remotes. And you press detect. Now it's looking for a signal from your remote. Press any of the buttons and it says here, detected, remote activated. That's it. You're done. Everything's set up. So if I turn off the amplifier now and try to turn off on my TV, nothing will happen. But if I press the volume up button, the amplifier will turn on automatically and it will switch by default to the optical 1 input. You could choose the optical 2 or the optical 3 input as well. Most new TVs, they don't come with this old school type IR remote. They rather come with a smart remote which also can transmit an IR signal, but you need to activate it in the TV first. And I'll show you how to do it on this specific Samsung model with this specific Samsung remote. However, for your TV, the setup process might be quite different. And I urge you to check your manual to see how it's done with your TV. We also have a setup guide on support.hegel.com, which gives you a general idea of how to do this in a point-by-point form. So, on this specific Samsung model, I do it like this. I go into the home section of the menu and down to connected devices. I then scroll all the way until I find the universal remote setup. And I want to start setting up a new universal remote. I want it to be a home theater setup. And I'm choosing the brand Samsung because this is an IR command I know work with Hegel amplifiers. And of course, I want to use the optical output as the output. Now, I go into the amplifier menu, I go to remotes, and I press the detect. No valid signal is received yet, and we'll try to make it receive a valid signal. You need to point the remote at both the TV and the amplifier at the same time, and we conduct a power test. It still says no valid signal received, so we need to say no to does your home theater system turn on or off? No, it didn't. Now we go to the second try, and we retry. Still no signal received, so we try it the third time. No changes made. We try it the fourth time. No, still no changes. And then we try it a fifth time, and it switched to detected remote enabled. So then we say yes, this worked. This worked flawlessly, and the setup is done. So what happens now if we turn off the amplifier and adjust the volume with this remote? It switches on and it turns on to optical 1, and you can control the volume as you would normally with your Hegel remote, now only on the smart remote. If you are experiencing dropouts in the sound when using this optical 1 input, please switch to the optical 3 input on our integrated amplifiers or the optical 2 input on our DAC, which is more optimized to receive TV sound signals. The last product I wanted to talk about when it comes to convenience is this little guy. It's the V10 phono preamplifier, which is a brilliant phono preamplifier for almost any turntable out there. Seeing as you can connect so many different pickups and turntables to it, it also has a vast array of settings, and they are adjusted by these small dip switches right here. On the underside of the product, you can see all the different settings and how to set it up to match your cartridge or your turntable the best. Now, this is quite complex, but there's a better way. On support.hegel.com, we have a simple, easy step-by-step guide on how to adjust all the different features of this product, but also the integrated amplifiers and all the functions we've been going through today. So please check out support.hegel.com if you have any Hegel-related questions. And if you can't find the answer there, you can always reach us at info@hegel.com, and we will be sure to answer your questions very quickly. And if it's a question that is relevant for the whole Hegel community, we will post it on our websites. Thank you for watching this comprehensive video. We'll be sure to make a shorter one the next time around, and see you then.